Donald Trump is panicking as the Ayatollah has broken his silence. A social media post was made on the Ayatollah of Iran's social media account, stating as follows: "I emphatically declare that the consistent policy of the Islamic Republic of Iran, following on the path of Imam Khomeini and the martyred leader, is to continue supporting the resistance against the Zionist U.S. enemy." And that's as Donald Trump claimed earlier this morning that Iran had offered a ceasefire, which we all knew not to be the case. But Trump was saying Iranian's president gave me a ceasefire offer and we have to strongly consider it. Well, in addition to the Ayatollah making that social media post, the president of Iran, Pezeshkian, posted a open letter to the American people. Let me read it for you as well. And this was all done in advance of Donald Trump's speech that he's going to be giving this evening. Here was the post. The letter states from Iran's president: "Iran harbors no enmity toward other nations, including the people of America, Europe, or neighboring countries. Recent U.S. actions of aggression targeting civilians and infrastructure, setting up for long-term global instability. What Iran has done and continues to do is a measured response grounded in legitimate self-defense. The decision to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal was made by the U.S. government. Continuing along the path of confrontation is more costly and futile than ever before." And Pezeshkian concluded his open letter that was posted obviously before Donald Trump is set to give his address to the United States tonight is as follows: "The choice between confrontation and engagement is both real and consequential. Throughout this millennia of proud history, Iran has outlasted many aggressors." And then Iran has posted on its various social media accounts, post after post, like this post of a bull with its head in a tree hole, saying Trump trying to get out of Iran. And the Iranian social media account says, "Really told through humor," laugh face emoji. Then they post a photo of a paper boat and they write, "Announced its readiness to engage military in operations to open the Strait of Hormuz." And Iran's account also responds, "They are ready to open the Strait of Hormuz," mocking the United States Navy and mocking the United States military. Also, the Iranian social media accounts moments ago posted that a Wall Street Journal article saying Iran war adds $16 billion and counting to Europe's energy bill. And Iran's social media accounts state, "A glimpse of the Trump-Netanyahu duo's gift to their European partners." Then a New York Times article that says, "Placing U.S. troops in the Middle East hotels may violate laws of war. U.S. commanders have kept many troops away from their bases in the region to protect them from Iran's ballistic missile attacks. As we've reported on the MeidasTouch network, 13 American military bases in the Middle East have been evacuated, and a lot of our military personnel are living in hotels in the Middle East." Iran's response is, "The hideouts of the U.S. troops are legitimate targets. Their act of hiding in civilian locations is a violation of humanitarian law." And Iran's other social media accounts are posting, "Only Iran and Oman will decide the future of the Strait of Hormuz. You are in safe hands. No worries," with an emoji of a smiley face wearing glasses. So for Donald Trump saying, "Oh, Iran is broken and battered and decimated and decapitated, and we're going to declare victory, and then we're going to leave the Strait of Hormuz to France and the UK and others to deal with. We're leaving because we won, and there is no leadership in Iran." They're on social media mocking you right now. And I only share that perspective so you can see what it is that they're saying over here. And you can contrast it to what you're hearing here in the United States. Because I know American media doesn't show you, all of those different sides of what's going on. Meanwhile, the Israeli Broadcasting Authority posted moments ago, U.S.-Iran negotiations not progressing positively. I would just delete the word positively and say U.S.-Iran negotiations not progressing, or maybe just change the word progressing to happening. Not happening. They're not happening. They're never happening. Iran has made it very clear. There aren't negotiations. Yes, there are some messages being exchanged, but Iran has made very clear its non-negotiables, and it says it's keeping its ballistic missiles. It wants reparations. It wants to continue to control the Strait of Hormuz, and it wants American military bases out of the Middle East. And it said and security guarantees for itself and its proxy groups, whether it's the Houthis, whether it's Hezbollah or the Shiite militias in Iraq. They've said that very clearly. They said, we're not going to follow any deadlines that Donald Trump's setting. We don't agree to any Trump negotiating framework. They repeated that over and over again. So what could the speech be about tonight that Donald Trump's giving? Well, it may also be to talk about increasing America's presence, at least for a short period of time, in perhaps even a ground invasion of Iran, and that Donald Trump has been posturing and putting out all this disinformation while preparing a ground invasion. Because one of the things we're hearing from Khan News, the U.S. and Israel have coordinated major operations set to take place in the coming days, which possibly include ground invasions, because one of the things that we're seeing are aircrafts being positioned in the region that are built solely for providing close air support to ground troops. You see right here, the New York Times, citing two Pentagon officials, talk about how the U.S. plans to increase the amount of the A-10 Warthog ground attack aircrafts that are being deployed to the Middle East. Per the report, 18 additional aircraft will be sent to the Middle East in addition to the 12 already operating in battle spaces. And again, that's an indication usually that there could be a ground invasion happening soon, whether that's of Karg Island or Iran proper itself or Isfahan or some of the nuclear facilities there. We will ultimately see. But folks, over the past 24 hours, things have been escalating. I mean, we've seen the biggest ballistic missile barrage targeting Israel in the past 24 hours from Iran. 10 ballistic missiles this morning in Israel, one of the largest single salvos since the first day of the war. In addition, we've seen the strikes at the Amazon facility in Bahrain, of the Kuwaiti airport, we've been following in Qatar. We've been following this every step of the way, of course. One of the things that, again, I reported on earlier this morning that we expect Donald Trump to talk about in his speech this night is withdrawing the United States from NATO. Donald Trump continues to attack NATO, blames NATO for how catastrophic this war is. That's what Donald Trump does. He blames everybody other than himself. And so lots of people are saying in this speech tonight, one of the things he'll do is he'll attack NATO. So, here's what we reported earlier. And this is kind of, an addendum to what we reported earlier. Also, Trump saying he's going to withdraw from NATO, terminate NATO, but also Trump threatened to stop supplying weapons to Ukraine in order to pressure European allies militarily to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The Financial Times is reporting. So after Trump's request that NATO help reopen Hormuz was rejected, Trump responded by threatening to stop supplies to Pearl, the PURL program. That's NATO's weapons procurement initiative for Ukraine, funded by European countries. As a result, a group of countries, including France, Germany, and the UK, issued their hastily agreed statement on March 19, saying, "We express our readiness to contribute to appropriate efforts to ensure safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz," but ultimately they made it clear that that was defensive in posture, and they did that to kind of drag this along, which I think is a miscalculation, because ultimately what Donald Trump was saying today is we're withdrawing from NATO. It just gave Donald Trump more time, I think, to lift sanctions from Russia, as we always knew he was going to do, lift sanctions from Russian vessels, allow Russian Duma members to visit him in Washington, D.C., or visit the State Department, to be clear, in Washington, D.C., and MAGA Republicans in Congress. You got to be strong, Europe. You got to stand up to the bully. You got to punch back. I mean, we're seeing that now, finally, France, Italy saying you can't use our airspace, joining Spain and Switzerland. Prime Minister Starmer gave a strong speech this morning out in Australia. Albanese gave a speech this morning warning of the dire consequences of America's catastrophic war in Iran. And it's just so embarrassing and pathetic, though. Like, Donald Trump tries to use out of context statements by the president of Iran, Pezeshkian, and say, Iran has offered me a ceasefire. And it's like, they're not offering you a ceasefire. Stop making up that. They're not offering you a ceasefire. Then you'll have like the speaker of Iran's parliament, MB Ghalibaf, be like, out of context quotes, manufactured FOMO, do your own research. He's pumping the markets. Trump's pumping the markets. I'll show you what Donald Trump's ambassador to the NATO, Whitaker, had to say. He said that Donald Trump's speech tonight is about a celebration because we won. So Donald Trump's going to celebrate the big win that we've had in Iran. Seriously? Here, play this clip.
Now, Ambassador, welcome to you. Thank you for being here. This is a big day. It'll be a big evening. What do you anticipate from President Trump tonight?
Well, I expect him to tell the American people all about the success that the United States military has shown with their power and lethality for the last month in Iran. And ultimately, he's going to make sure that he gives the men and women of our military the credit that they deserve for their bravery and for their efforts, because it's been quite exceptional. We're at or ahead of schedule on all the objectives that Secretary Rubio and the president laid out. And I think that's extraordinary. So I think the president is going to celebrate that. And at the same time, explain that right now, the United States of America, because we're energy independent, are in a great place.
And Matt, some tough words to...
Right, aren't these like the most delusional people? More from Whitaker right here. He's like, what we should know is that Donald Trump he's always picked diplomacy first. And that's what we respect about Donald Trump. And this was diplomacy first. Here, play this clip right here.
Well, I mean, there's not much left, quite frankly, to bomb in Iran. The military has been quite effective and efficient of demonstrating our capabilities. And, President Trump, I think, has, at the beginning of this, suggested it would be 4 to 6 weeks. But, he didn't say that was a hard deadline. It was when we accomplish our objectives. And I think it's very important. President Trump has always chosen diplomacy first and only used military action when diplomacy didn't work, or when the Iranians or anyone else we negotiate with demonstrate that they're not willing to make a deal. And so I think, it is pretty clear that we are talking to the right people in Iran, that we believe that there is an off-ramp that Iran can choose. And President Trump, again, he's the negotiator in chief. He is a peacemaker. And, I think we all expect and trust that he'll get this done on his terms.
And finally, I'll just show you this scene over Iraq. As you can see, a U.S. Air Force F-15 fighter jet pursuing an Iranian Shahed drone, but cannot shoot it down over Iraq. Watch as the F-15 tries to engage the Shahed. Let's play it. So folks, we'll keep you posted every step of the way. As always, hit subscribe, help us get to 7 million subscribers. And thanks for watching. We're grateful for you.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.